Hello everyone, welcome back to my Jade Bird. This one here is called Night's Bird, Night Runs Under the Steps. And this ELO is set at 2370. It's a long one. And let's get down to it. E4, E6, D3. And there's your steps. D5, E2, F6, E5, D7, D4, C5, C3. Now the steps come back up, declined but come back, but the steps came back. After C3, E7, and D2. There's your night bird, C6, and then F3, night on the run. Okay, we go on. D4 takes, D4 takes, F6, F6 takes, F6 takes, D3, E4, E2, castle, castle, B4, takes E4, takes E4, E5, D6, C3, takes E5, takes E5, D3, G4, F5, D1, B6, E3. After E3 is B2, takes E4, takes E5, B1, F4. And we'll go over this game a little bit. It gets a little bit of thinking here. After F4, takes F4, E4 takes, D3 takes, D3 takes, D1, H5, H5 takes, G6, H8 check, takes H8, D3 takes, B5, looks like B5 check, G8, H4, A5, D8 check, F7, F4, B4, G4, A4, H5, H5 takes, H5 takes, A3, H8, B3, takes B3, A2, A1, B8, check H7, E8, F2, takes B3, H8 check, D7, H6, H3, H7, H1, F6, C7, check C8, takes C8, Queen H8, H8 takes H8, C7, E2, D6, D3, C5, E5, B4, D2, C5, C2, D5, B3, C5, takes A2, D5, B3, C5, C3, D5, D3, C5, E4, C6, B2, B5, E5, B4, takes E6, B3, E5, C2, F5, D3, F6, E3, F7, D3, Queen F8, E3, check F4, D3, F2, C4, check D4, B3, C3 check A4, C4 check A3, B5, A2, and that's mate. Now, let's go back over this a little bit. It got a little bit of thinking here. I mean, at a couple points, but let's get back here to the beginning here. And like my opening, now, like I say, most of the time there's no thinking here. I didn't even worry about that pawn. I wanted to set my pieces up. Well, I did start attack there right away, and he moved back, and then I moved the piece up. So, depending where he was going to move that knight and what he was going to do, then he moved. I put the steps back up again. So, just defending, keep it together, And then he went there. I brought the night bird out, and I knew this knight was going to run all the way across. I just like doing it, no matter what. It just, this knight's good to be on this square over here. And like I said, on my knight's 23, that's a nice thing too. And then the game goes on there. I move my knight over. He goes, I go. I take, he takes. I run my bishop over there. Bring the knight out, getting ready to castle here. He castles, I castle. He came down, I had to get rid of that knight right away. 2 knights down here ain't good. It's not cool. That was a must. And see, when when they took that, look at this. The only thing is the bishop. There's nothing else going to move that knight from that spot. And, well, there it was. That's bishop. Yeah, you see? And then I take, what did he do? He blocked. He didn't want to trade no pieces. And I'm ready to trade sometimes in an early game. I like that too. So, and then the game goes on here. Now I pin his queen. He unpins. But now look what he's trying to do here. I throw my bishop up there. Got right out of that real quick. Then what did he do? He just took a pawn. Okay. And then what I take? Oh, well, then I went over here and took a pawn. He threatened. Everything's safe down here, but he had a pawn undefended. I got out. Now, this took a little bit of thinking here. When it got to this point, it's like, oh, okay. What? He moved there. Okay, where did I move next? I moved my rook over here. What did he do? It's like, oh, okay, well, what's the big deal? Now I'll just take your rook. Okay? Then he takes the queen. And I'm looking again, I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, I just can't move any piece here now. Because he could just use his knight and take it. And what do I got? He just took my bishop for nothing. He already gave up his rook, so looks like we'll get my piece back. I take his knight, he takes my rook, and our big pieces are even. I got 4 pawns, he's got 5 pawns, but he's split here too. So let's go on. So he's kind of got the advantage a little bit here. So let's see what happens. All right, I try to pin his queen. Now that didn't make no sense. I still guarding that. I just take that and still guard it. I thought, maybe, push this pawn up, or something like that. Well, then maybe we would have been trading queens a different way, but, because obviously he just ain't gonna just take the bishop and then let the rook get away. Anyway, then I take the piece. What did he do? He threatened again. Now I thought, well, now what? What am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this? I can't take it with the check. Where can I go? Huh? This got a little, I didn't see this. I wasn't even thinking about this at that time. But anyway, here's the thing. There's nothing. He's pinned here. So, look. Check. Just remember, long as you have the last move on any situation, you'll be fine in this situation like this. Check. So he can't take my rook. He's got to worry about the check. Now, you're out. So just as long as you have the last move, that's almost with any move. That's something to remember. As long as you have the last move when it all falls down, you should be fine. If you searched it out right, you should be fine. Now the game goes on, but now look at him. He's split here. I don't even know we're even, but his pawns are split. And then here's another thing. You should have never left me get the back lane. I check him, okay? What'd he do? I move here. He put that pawn. I still say he's better to put that bishop there, no matter what. I know he can't put his rook here because that's there, but to get at least get the bishop out, he's got to stick it somewhere. I mean, stick it here, cement it in. I don't understand. That's what I don't. I mean, for his part, I don't get it. But anyway, I get to check. I get that back lane, and now the game goes on. Obviously, my bishop is helping me here and helping me here, right where it's at. And the game goes on. And then I went over here, so I have to take, but that's okay. It's still, everything's all right. He went. Now I have to go down here, stop him. That's a must. All right, so fine. He goes there. I throw a check. He goes back. I move my king up. He takes. Throw another check. And here's the critical part. No matter what happens here, I run this pawn down here. When you throw a check and then he has to take, you push the pawn because this bishop's in this lane. So anyway, I run, he comes over, I push again. All I need to do is throw a check with the rook to get that in because the bishop still guards the lane. And even if he went down, I still moved the bishop, which I did. Now, either way, if he put the pawn in there, I would take, he would take, and then I just come over and throw a check, no matter where the king was, throw a check, and then push the pawn in. Then I'd have the queen. So he went there, and there's my check. It doesn't matter. My bishop's there now. But if his rook was over here, and I didn't have my bishop, then I'd still have my queen. So either way, I'm getting the piece, and now everything's, that lane's, he can't do nothing. My king is the next important thing. I had to go down. I cover this. I can't let him get in here. And now the game goes on. I take out the pawn. He can't do nothing. I run the king over. Move the bishop. Finish it off. And it goes on. And that's the game then. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that one. We have some more for you. Thanks for stopping by.